What's going on, everyone? So, the San Antonio Spurs have made Julian Champagnie fully guaranteed through the rest of the season. Now, this is great, right? He's a guy that really, like last year, kind of felt a little like a bit of a make and break, right? With like him and Branham and all these guys, right? Like, is he going to finally start to show that progress? He's going to start to show that growth from a 3-and-D perspective. And he was in fuego, right? From summer league the preseason to the beginning of the regular season even. Now, he did kind of average out a little bit as the season progressed, but he showed that he could be a legit two-way 3-and-D wing. Still very young, 24 years old, just turned 24 in June. Right? He won't be 25 until literally the end of next season. So, even if the Spurs go to the NBA Finals, he still would still only be 24. So you basically have him for the full calendar year at 24 years old. So plenty of room for growth, plenty of room for improvement, and hopefully he's working on the things we need to see him work on. He solves one of the biggest kind of glaring holes for this team, and that is three-point shooting. Right? The San Antonio Spurs, you look at them, they're young, they're athletic, they're versatile, right? They got, good size, they got versatility, they got multiple guys that are 6'8", they can slot in multiple, they got multiple bigs, got plenty of guards, right? They have guys that have superstar potential that can break out this year. They got, 2 stars in De'Aaron Fox and Victor Wembanyama. Go down the list, and it's like, man, like this team has the potential to be great. This team has the potential to be very good, not only this season, but just obviously long term, right? They could be one of those teams that, we're talking about, like, are they a dynasty, right? Like, obviously, that's the intention, that's the plan, but you also got to see how this all plays out. Same breath, they also have a lot of decisions to make on guys over the next few years. Guys are going to start getting paid, all of that. But Julian Champagnie is a guy that can come in, and if he can continue to shoot at volume, at scale, from a quality three-point perspective, as well as we need him to play some defense. If he just is a shooter, then there's plenty of guys that can do that. But the idea is to have him be both 3 and D. If he can kind of continue to take strides and take growth in that regard, then that's huge for a team like the San Antonio Spurs because, even with guys like Carter Bryant, right? It's like, okay, well, the defense, like, he's big enough he can slot at the 4. He could slot at the 3 for you, right? So, like, if Julian Champagnie really does kind of come into his own and kind of continue to grow and develop, that's massive for this team because now you have that 3-and-D guy. You don't need him to necessarily be this guy that can go out there and cook and cross dudes over and do all this crazy stuff. You need him to play a role, right? Not everybody is going to be able to be a superstar on this team. Not everybody is going to be able to have the ball in their hands at all times on this team. You only got one basketball, right? You only have so many guys that you can play on the basketball court at one time, right? And the Spurs are a team that have a bunch of young, talented guys that are going to have the ball. Like, Dylan Harper's probably going to have the ball in his hands. De'Aaron Fox for sure is going to have the ball in his hands, right? Stephon Castle, you're probably going to want to have the ball in his hands at points, right? So you need guys that are able to play off of those guys. You need guys that are able to play a role, fill in, and be at the highest level for said role. And if Julian Champagnie can kind of continue to take those strides and evolve into that player, if he can be that kind of OG type or, even like a Mikal Bridges to an extent, right? But I kind of, he's a guy you talk about 6'7", 6'8", versatile. You could slot in really 2 through 4 for you. More kind of that 2-3 spot. But I mean, you can if you're running some small ball units. I wouldn't hate it at the 4. But again, just a guy that can come in, slot in, and provide one of your biggest holes. Right? Knock down the 3 ball, give you that consistency, give you that high level of just, performance and scoring, but you have to be able to hold your own on the defensive side. I mean, even Brian Wright himself said, like, hey, we want to build this defensive identity. We want to be, like, a lot of the moves were made with defense in mind, not the offensive side of things. We want to be one of the premier defensive teams. Okay, well, you look at the Spurs dynasty back in the day, right? A lot of that was rested on just them being defensive, right? They were just hard defense, multiple guys. You got Bruce Bowen and all this, like Steven Jackson. You got these guys that can just defend and just be tough and just aren't afraid of squabbles, all of that, right? You need that on this team. right? Julian Champagnie, I don't really think is he's not a guy that's looked at like, ready to get in a tussle, but he's a guy that I do think is somebody that can be that kind of long, lengthy defensive guy that can defend, knock down the three ball, be versatile, right? Carter Bryant, can he kind of emerge and evolve into that? I mean, that might be your starting five. You might have over the foreseeable future, right? And even in a post-Fox era, you could have something like Dylan Harper, Stephon Castle with the Julian Champagnie, Carter Bryant, and a Victor Wembanyama. And you're just long and lengthy and versatile. Like your smallest guy would be what? Dylan Harper at that point at 6'5"? Because you got Castle 6'6", 6'7", right? Like Champagnie's 6'7", 6'8", Carter Bryant 6'8". Right? Like you just got this size, this length, this versatility out there. But it rests on Julian Champagnie kind of continuing to show the growth. I mean, even if he just kind of stays where he was last year, like let's say he doesn't really, let's just say he's the guy we saw last year is just who he is. Like he's still worth a rotation spot. He's still a guy like I'd want to keep on the roster. If he's your 7th, 8th guy, I mean, he averaged 10 points, 4 rebounds, and 1.5 assists off the bench, right? Like that would be perfect if you could kind of get that production, get that performance. Like I said, he's still young enough to be a piece, a guy that can slot in at either forward spot for you, slot in at the 2 if he kind of continues to improve and knock down his shooting. But kind of getting the numbers last year, right? Played all 82 games. It's another big thing. Played 82 games last year and 74 games the year before. Best ability is, yes, that's right, availability. Right? So the fact that he was able to play 82 games is huge. Started in 29 of them. So again, a guy that's willing to come off the bench, played less than half of his games off the bench, but 23.6 minutes per game, 8.1 field goal attempts per game, shot 41.5% from the field, shot on 8.1 attempts from three-point range, right? On 5.9 attempts, so nearly 6 attempts, shot 37.1% from three-point range, right? So on significant volume, he's getting 6 threes a game, and he only took 8.1 attempts, period. So he basically was primarily a three-point shooter. He shot 37.1%. It's excellent. Excellent, right? Keep doing that, right? Like, that's not like, best shooter in the league. Like, I want to see him get in the 40s, but you're talking about a guy that's showing the improvement. I mean, excellent in the sense of, like, the improvement, right? Like, continue to grow. He's knocking it down at a volume rate, right? At 37%. Like, that's very good if he can kind of continue. And that's, without guys fully blossoming into their own. What does that look like when he's kind of an afterthought on this team? Right? But 2-point range, 2.3 attempts, 53% from the floor, EFG of 55%. Free throw shooting, he was on 1.1 attempt, 90%. He was 40%, or he was 3%, 2.9% away from being part of the 50-40-90 club. Rebounds. 4 rebounds, which is very good, right? Rebounding, need him to help rebound the basketball. 1.5 assists, a steal, half a block, and 9.9 points per game. So basically 10 points per game. He's excellent, right? If he can kind of continue to show that growth, hopefully he steps up and plays big. I like that they kept him around. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments. As always, this is a discussion. So let me know. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. So we enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. If you're not subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button, turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one.